For the first time ever in the NFC North's history, the Lions are the division champions. Yes, I said that right. The Detroit Lions defeated the Vikings yesterday 30-24 in what was a very thrilling ending to the game. A lot of mistakes happening on the Lions' last drive, and man, a chance for Mullins to fire down the field and almost put a dagger in our heart if it wasn't for Ifeatu Melifonwu coming up with a huge interception to ice the game. But this is the first Christmas that I've been able to say that the Lions really are not looking forward to the saving grace of the NFL draft in 2024. Yet that new season of hope really still begins with the draft. And I say that because we are looking forward to the draft, finally, for a different meaning. This is now a way to catapult the Lions from a division championship to a Lombardi trophy. We have a competent GM now. We have an amazing head coach. The Lions have a financial team and an organization that is put together from, top to bottom, making all of the right moves. So the draft is now a way for the Lions to get better. It's not a way for us just to change things. It's now 2023, and this Christmas, I think a lot of us only wanted one wish, and that was to finally win and go to a playoff game. It would have been great for us to win the division championship like we did. But it wouldn't have been all or nothing for me. I just wanted to see the Lions get into the playoffs and actually have an opportunity. So first, I do want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas today. It's been a long day for a lot of us. There's been some football on, and there's a big game on here in about an hour and 15 minutes. And a lot of us have overloaded social media today. And it's kind of weird because I see more posts about the Lions and families all wearing their Lions gear today than I do anything else that's usual, typical Christmas stuff. It's kind of weird, but that is the effect of the Detroit Lions right now on their fan base. Secondly, I wanted to share with everyone just how big of an accomplishment this is for the Lions. I mean, I think everybody gets it, right? Lions fans understand it. But I have a few stats that I decided to kind of pull and look at today just because I was a little bit bored. Christmas was over early for us, and I wanted to make another Christmas wish. My first one got answered. Just make it to the playoffs. Well, they did us one better. They won the NFC North. But my second Christmas wish is kind of speaking through these stats and what I had found through these stats, to be an inspiration to us, to be an inspiration to the Lions. Something much bigger than just doing it once. And it really all started with the realignment of 2002. So let me be clear on one thing. When people say that it's been 30 years, there's one thing that we all need to understand. The Lions have never won the NFC North divisional championship, ever. They were a part of the NFC Central prior to 2002. The NFL expanded to 32 teams in 2002. So the league had to realign from 3 divisions in each conference to 4 divisions in each conference. And within those 4 divisions, you would have 4 teams. And that's where you come up with the 32 teams. It was a time when the Lions, the Vikings, the Bears, and the Packers first met in the same division together as the NFC North, and no longer the NFC Central, where the Lions used to be part of. And of course, the NFC Central was no longer. But why is this really significant? People are probably already asking the question, who cares, Will? Because, this is the first time the Lions are in the playoffs, number one, without, so far anyway, another NFC North team. Every year that the Lions made the wild card, the Packers won the division. And that was only 3 times. So this is the first Christmas wish, for the Lions, right? For the Lions. I want us to be the only NFC North team represented from the NFC North this season. I would love to be on a solo mission. And maybe it doesn't mean anything to anybody else. I don't really know what it means to me other than I just don't want to play with anybody else. Does that make sense? I'm in the sandbox. I'm not sharing my toys. I'm sick of the Packers and the Vikings and the Bears. I've had enough of them. It's time for the Lions to do their thing. Let's go do it. So if the Packers don't make the playoffs, if the Vikings don't make the playoffs, I'm not going to be sad. So my second wish is I want to see the Lions do this back to back. But not only back to back, but back to back to back. And not only the three-peat, but I want to see the Lions four-peat this thing. And here's why. The Bears accomplished a back-to-back in 2005, 2006. The Packers three-peated 3 times. 2002 to 2004, 2012 to 2014, and 2019 to 2021. So naturally, like I said, my third wish is I want the Lions to not only three-peat the crown, but I also want them to break the record and four-peat the crown for the NFC North. So let's continue this streak through 2027. As the thumbnail says, man, welcome to the big leagues, right? We're finally here. We finally made it. The Lions have finally done something that has not been done. And it's kind of sad, but it's also bittersweet at the same time that they're doing it their way. They're doing it the right way. They've put so much time and energy into this. Drafting the right way, building through the draft. A lot of unsexy picks that fans didn't like. And a lot of fans, really hanging on by a thread. And you're calling out a lot of different people along the way. And yesterday, you finally seen what can happen if you just stick to the plan. I, for one, have been behind Brad Holmes the entire time. I may not like everything he does, but I like the majority of the things that he does and what he represents. None of us like every call that Dan Campbell makes. Every coach makes mistakes too. That's natural. It's going to happen. But I haven't stopped supporting him. Your quarterback is going to make mistakes. No quarterback has a perfect game. Very rarely has a quarterback ever had a perfect passer rating. But the point that I'm trying to make is there's going to be some bumps and bruises along the way. And we've experienced a lot of those. And we've experienced a lot more than that over the last 30 years, 50 years, whatever you want to call it. But they're doing things the right way. And if you just stick to the plan, things will play out. So, for instance, the Packers have stuck by the plan. Through their leadership and their general management over the last 20 seasons, they had a very definitive plan that they stuck to, and they built their organization the same way every single season for the most part. And that's why since 2002, when the realignment happened, they've had 15 appearances in the playoffs. They won the division 12 times. They only have one Lombardi, trophy to speak of, out of all of that. But that's pretty darn good football. That's a winning ball club. And that's where I want to see the Lions get to. So before the next realignment happens and before more teams are added, if they ever will be, I want to see the Lions take that back. I want to see the roles flipped and reversed. I want to see the Lions have, 20 appearances, 20, championships and a few trophies. So how do we do it? How do we get there? Well, I think it's doing what we've been doing the last 3 seasons. Sticking behind the plan that Brad Holmes has developed. It's worked. It's working. You build through the draft. You keep your capital low. You fix all of your financials, which he's done. And now in 2024, not only do we have the draft in our town, but we also have a wide open checkbook with a ton of money and a full slate of picks. Brad Holmes has done it right. And we're going to start to see the dividends that pays off over the next few seasons. So when I say that my wish is for us to go back to back and three-peat and four-peat the division championship, I don't think it's out of the question. I really don't. The Bears are going to end up changing their quarterback, if not next season, the season after that. I don't see him sticking with Fields much longer. Jordan Love started to play pretty good football towards the end of this season, but I don't think he's the long-term answer once the Lions have a really good pass rush. If the Lions can just play the defense that they played versus the Broncos and, about halfway through yesterday's game and stay consistent and add a few more power pieces to the puzzle, I don't think there's going to be many teams that can stop us. So today's video was one to congratulate everybody, all of the Lions fans out there. I'm sure that, like myself, wearing some Lions gear today and ordering all the NFC North Championship shirts. If you go to fanatics.com and look at your Detroit Lions gear, it's all still available. It hasn't sold out yet, but a sweatshirt, a hoodie, they're $90. The It's a Lock t-shirt, it's like 40. The commemorative coin, I think, is like 40. So it's not cheap. You'll walk out of there spending a couple $100 easy. But I just wanted to get a video out today because it is Christmas, because a lot of us have had our Christmas wish answered, that we make the playoffs this year. And once we're in, man, it's game on from there. I just hope that AG comes to play and play loose. And we still got 2 games, so I'm not going to get too far ahead of it. But I hope he comes in to play loose and with an open mind and not stick to this script that has gotten us in trouble since the Ravens game. But tonight, 8:15 p.m., the Detroit Lions are going to be watching the Ravens versus the 49ers. If the Ravens can pull this game off, the Lions are that much closer to getting the 1 seed. The Lions do have to win out. The 49ers have to drop 2 games. And if that can happen, we might be sitting at home with a bye. It would be incredible. It's unlikely, but, anything can happen in the NFL. So be watching tonight, 8:15. Ravens versus the 49ers. We're rooting for the Ravens tonight, even though they kicked our butt. We need them to win. So, look, the Lions are in, and it's now different on Christmas. I'm not worried about, the Lions and their draft picks and getting ready to drop a bunch of draft videos and mock drafts, and I'm not doing that yet. I'm going to wait. I've been preparing, putting some things together, but I'm going to wait because it's time for us to focus on what matters, and that's supporting our team week in and week out, pumping these guys up, being there for them, show up in droves to the stadium, scream, loud and cheer and do everything that we're supposed to do, and enjoy this because it's taken us 30 years to do it. And I don't think that that's going to stop anytime soon. I think the Lions are finally putting this thing together so we can be happy as fans for once. The tide has shifted. It's Detroit's time to finally shine. And I just want to give a huge shout out and thank you to all of the subscribers to Rock Down Detroit Lions and Rock Down Podcast Network. You guys have been excellent all season. We're going to go up a couple of notches here, and I'm going to be giving away a commemorative shirt or coin of your choice. And I'll be pulling somebody out in the next live show that we do. I might do a couple of live shows this week, but I will drop it in the thumbnail. So the information will be in the thumbnail. It'll tell you if it's going to be a drawing that day. Just look like on the bottom left corner or the right corner somewhere. If it says drawing, I'm going to be picking somebody out of the chat randomly that's going to get a commemorative piece of memorabilia from fanatics.com, drop shipped right to your home, or the Detroit Lions. So it's going to be our first prize giveaway for the playoffs with many more to come. My playoff tickets are locked down too, so I can't wait to go. And it's going to be a great event. I hope I get to go to at least 2 home games this season. That'd be phenomenal. But all right, I hope you all are having a wonderful Merry Christmas and that Santa brought you everything. Because like the thumbnail says, man, it's the big leagues now. We're here. And on Santa's list, he got us that NFC North Division Championship. Let's see what else he can bring us in his big old red bag. How about a Lombardi? All right, y'all. Take care. One pride. Detroit Lions. We'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.